Hello guys, welcome to today's tutorial. So today we're going to be looking at one most asked question in JavaScript, which is how you can improve your coding skills. So we're going to be looking at the ways you can use to improve your JavaScript skills. And we're going to be discussing some of the best practices and some hacks and tips that you can use to improve your coding skills, your JavaScript, to be specific, JavaScript coding skills. So the first thing is to always follow best practices. Whenever you are writing your code, you should always follow best practices. If you are writing a backend that is based on JavaScript or Node, make sure you are following the best practices for backend development. If you are on the front end using a framework such as React or Next.js, make sure you are following the best practices, the industrial standard for that framework. So if you don't know the industrial standard, you can Google it. You see videos on it, and you also see blog articles that you can read on it. Maybe one of these days I'll create another tutorial talking about best practices for different development environment and frameworks. So you want to make sure you're always following the best practices for whatever you are developing. You are, for example, now when you are in JavaScript, you know that JavaScript, one of the laws of JavaScript is you don't use snake casing for variables. Snake casing is used in variables in Python, not in JavaScript. In JavaScript, if you are naming your variable, we use camel casing to name our variables. And so another thing also is when you are writing your program, you want to make sure you are modeling the ants. What do I mean by modeling the ant? You want to make sure you are writing your code in such a way that you solve the problem in the shortest way possible, the shortest and most efficient way possible. So if you look at the ants, one thing they do is they follow the shortest path to a food source. Once they locate a food source, it doesn't matter how many people located it, doesn't matter the numbers of tray that was left, they will make sure they follow the shortest path, the shortest of the trail. That is what they will follow. So you want to model them also when you are writing your programs, and make sure you are developing it in such a way that you use the shortest possible way, the shortest, most efficient. Remember, shortest, most efficient. Sometimes the shortest might not be the most efficient. If it is not the most efficient, then you look for another way that is more efficient. So the shortest, most efficient way. So that takes us to the next, which I've already said something about it. Always use correct casing. It's very, very irritating when you see people coming from other languages, maybe Python, Ruby or something, and then they are coming into JavaScript and they bring in their ideology from Ruby or from Python. Declaring variable with snake casing in JavaScript is a no-no. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure you are following JavaScript standard, which is the camel casing. So there are different casing we use in declaring different types of variables and functions. We'll take a look at that. You can see here, you have the camel casing here for variables. I'm using the camel casing for variables. For functions also, you're using the camel casing. You start the name of a function with small letter. Also for variable, you start it with small letter, not with capital letter. But when you're writing a class, the class is started with capital letter. You can see, which is a Pascal case. So we are using Pascal case when it comes to class declarations. And then also when it comes to constant, we use capital letter and snake casing. This is snake casing for constant. So the only time we use snake casing in JavaScript is for constant. We are declaring constant. That is the only time we use snake casing. So these are the things you want to note and you want to make sure you are implementing while writing your code. This will make you look more professional when you are using the right casing. You know the right casing to use. With each programming language, it shows that you are a mature developer, you're a senior developer. So I'll be moving on. Also, still on the naming convention, we've said it always follow best practices, which we've looked at this now, variable naming functions and modules. So we want to move to the next one. Always use the latest version. I see a lot of people, when they are writing their code, some are still using the old version of JavaScript. Some people are still using, you see var keywords, when they are using var keywords to create variable. Not that var is bad or anything, but we're in the 21st century. We're in 2024 now. And the latest version of ECMA is the ECMAScript 2023, which is ES14. We've long moved away from vars because of the problem they pose. Because a var key, if you declare a variable with var, it is globally scoped, and it can cause a lot of problems in your program. Declaring a globally scoped variable, that means that variable will be available throughout your program. To be available. So you want to really look into that. And like I said, make sure you are using the latest version of ECMAScript. This is always best, to follow the trends, follow what is happening, the trends, not just you writing for writing's sake. So follow the best practices. So the next thing is to avoid callbacks. You want to avoid callbacks at all means. A rule of thumb is always ask yourself, this program, can I write it without using callbacks? If the answer is yes, then you shouldn't use callbacks. Callbacks should be used in cases where you are restricted and you are restricted to the point where you have to use it. Maybe you are writing, you're using a framework that requires you to use a callback. That is the only time you want to be using callbacks. Now there are many other ways you can write. There are many other ways you can use await async, which is far better. And why is it better? It's more readable than callbacks. It is more readable, more understandable. Anyone picking your code can easily understand it. It is modular than callbacks. So you want to avoid callbacks at all costs, because callbacks, if you don't know how to use callbacks, a lot of callbacks usually cause what we call callback hell. So callback hell is when you write a program and you're using so many callbacks that it now becomes difficult to read and understand. So here is an example of what we call a callback of hell. This function here. Is a function, I think, to read a directory. You can see we have a lot of callbacks there. There is a callback here. Then you get here, there's another callback here. There's another callback here. Come down, there's another callback here. You know, a person cannot, there's another callback here again. You can't just pick this program, merely looking at it straight, understand what it is doing. You can't. You have to read through each line to actually understand the flow of this program. And that is because of the callbacks that was used, the model, the approach of writing it. So I advise people always avoid using callbacks as much as possible. Another example, even this alone is a callback of L. This one is more readable than the first one, but this one is also tending to what we call callback L. So you want to avoid using too many callbacks. If you think about it, can this piece of code, can I write it without using callbacks? If yes, then you probably shouldn't use callback. When you use async await, it is more readable than using callbacks and callbacks and callbacks. So let's go on to the next one. Then the next one is you have to study JavaScript advanced topic. A lot of people don't know the difference between null and undefined. A lot of people don't know the difference between null and undefined. So topics like difference between null and undefined, JavaScript hoisting, higher order component or function. JavaScript OOP, you should be very familiar with these topics, and be able to understand them, and use them even if you are woken up from sleep and given a problem to solve using any of these, you should be able to. So JavaScript prototype inheritance. A lot of people don't understand how prototypes still works. They don't understand the difference between the JavaScript prototype inheritance and JavaScript OOP. So you must know the difference. You must know how they work. They are different. Prototypes was introduced when there was no OOP, but it modeled the way OOP works. So you want to understand all this topic, like data structure and algorithm. You must know your data structure and algorithm very well. Difference between let, const and var. You must know these simple topics. They seem simple, but you will be shocked that a lot of people don't know the difference. A lot of people don't know when to use let, when to use const, and when to use var. Some people will always be using var in their programs. When ES14 is out already, people are still using var. A lot of people will just be using the keyword var. You must know the difference, know when to use let, const, or var. When you use var, that variable is globally scoped. It is available throughout your program. But let and const work differently. They are scoped to the block in which they are declared. And then let is when you use let for a variable that needs modification or that might need modification later on. And const is regarded a constant, a value that does not change. Doesn't change with time, doesn't change the memory. So all these advanced topics, you must study them. And then the last is practice coding challenge. Go online, there are many sites out there, that offers this that offers this solution that provides practical. There are different online sites that provide practical coding challenges, you know, that you can learn from. You can even watch videos of them. So you must always practice those challenge, those coding challenge. So you must always practice those coding challenge, to more improve your skills. And the more you do that, the more you see that you advance. You will become, a professional JavaScript developer. You become a senior dev. You improve your skills in no time at all. No time at all. These are the core principles that you need to have, for you to be in a senior developer. For you to be regarded as, you must understand all these things very, very well, and you must practice them. You must practice them. Remember, practice makes perfect. If you don't practice it, then what is the point of you knowing it? So that is what will make you stand out. I see a lot of people, writing codes. They just write the codes anyhow. A lot of times when you are working on the back end, you see a lot of callbacks. I remember working for a company like that. When I first took a look at their code base, I was confused because the callbacks was just too much. It was just too much. I couldn't understand, what was going on. So that is that about that. Kindly like and subscribe to this channel for more tutorials like this. If you've learned something from this tutorial, comment whatever you've learned and give this video a like. So see you in the next tutorial. Have a wonderful day. Bye.